Welcome to the School of the Lost Tribes. Your charity helps generate the lessons needed to seal the chosen before the destruction.
Identity loss is when people forget who they are. It happens when they lose their names, their language, their customs, and their histories are taken away from them. That's part of being a descendant of the lost tribes. Without identity, you as a descendant of the lost tribes become easier to rule over and control and mislead. Like Hosea 4:6, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. It wasn't the wars that destroyed us, it was that we forgot our covenant. By forgetting who we are, that's how we begin to be destroyed. That's why when you read Deuteronomy 28:64, Israel will be scattered among nations. Yes, we will be living amongst pagans. We don't want to follow the covenant? Don't worry. The Most High is like, all right, I'm going to leave you right in there, in your hell, since you love them so much. The scattering leads to loss of culture, your name, and heritage. It's very important. That's what these churches don't teach. They think the Bible is a universal book, but you know better now. So part of the clues that you should see as a descendant of the lost tribes is to focus and understand loss of heritage. What does heritage include? It includes the laws that govern your nation, the customs, how y'all dress, how y'all talk, the language, how y'all talk, the ancestry, our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, all the way up to Christ. The covenant knowledge, the laws that were given us, the law, statutes, and commandments, the dietary law, all these laws. So, you know, when your heritage is lost, you adopt foreign names. You adopt the foreign gods of those people. You accept their false history. They tell you whatever it is. You're black, you're a monkey, you never been nothing. Go back to Africa. Who are you? You don't have a father. Those are the words they keep saying to you. But you should have the clues. The Most High is showing you what happens when you lose your heritage. So how is your identity taken? When you're forced into captivity and slavery, forget it. You're gone. You're locked up. You don't have your grandmother. You don't have your grandfather. You're stripped butt naked. You're put on a ship in a cargo bay. You wake up in some odd land with a whip. After generations, you die. And you didn't pass anything down because you didn't even know how to. It was so much trauma our forefathers were going through that they couldn't pass it down. And they weren't allowed to read. They weren't allowed to sit down and learn the alphabet. They had to sneak. Why would the enemy cause a slave not to know who he is? That's part of the curse. Renaming people, renaming who we are, places, teaching false history, making us think we're lost and we don't got nothing. All we got is to be called a FBA or Black Indian. Now they're going on that. Still removing yourself from the covenant, going further back from the Most High, idolatry, because you're not going to gain nothing by trying to create your own historical identity or so-called heritage that you claim you had in captivity. It's not going to work. So with that, you're removing your biblical identity, replacing truth with the enemy's religion and identity. That's why it says in Daniel 1-7, it speaks on the idea that the youths were renamed and erased their identity. The signs of the loss of your identity, the rejection of your biblical ancestry, rejection of the law of the Most High, which follows oppression from your captors to keep you stupid, to have you jump into all type of religions and keep you closer away from the Holy Spirit. People call good evil and evil good. You're in a world where upside down morality, which doesn't connect to your covenant. Those are the signs. The more you build your discernment is the more you build your identity, and is the more that you'll be comforted. Your discernment will grow, you'll recognize who you are, and you'll start to see things from a spiritual eye. You got to bear fruit. You got to show that you're true to the Most High, so all these tools can work within your spirit. The scriptures tell you, those who bear and follow the sign, my sheep hear my voice and they follow me. You have to have the obedience and the repentance and the humbleness so that you can be called and separate yourself from the pagan ideologies. You love your Christmas, you got to separate. You love all your pagan little birthdays, you got to separate. The minute you rebel and you try to slide in your wicked ways and you don't want to do the Lord's statutes and commandments, the Most High will remove you quickly and you won't even notice it. You'll be angry. You'll be pointing fingers at Hebrew Israelites and complaining about how they're wicked and all that instead of looking at yourself. By the way, all Hebrew Israelites are wicked. Every single one of us are trying to come out of this captivity and fight the flesh. Ain't nobody perfect. If you're looking for perfect religion, go into Christianity. They teach that. Perfection. You fine. You can sin all you want and keep it moving. You have a license to sin. Shalom.
And the heathen shall know that I, the Lord, do sanctify Israel, when my sanctuary shall be in the midst of them forevermore. Ease 37:28. This is the first thing you need to understand. The end of the story is not confusion. It's clarity. Yahweh says the nations will know who he set apart, because he will place his sanctuary in the middle of Israel forever. That means Israel is not just another group. Israel is the nation Yahweh marks, cleans, organizes, and establishes in front of everybody. For dummies, the world won't need debates when Yahweh moves like this. When his sanctuary is in the midst of Israel, it becomes visible government, visible worship, visible authority. The nations won't be guessing who runs the kingdom. They'll know by the center of power, Yahweh's presence, dwelling with his people permanently. Moreover, I will appoint a place for my people Israel, and will plant them, that they may dwell in a place of their own, and move no more. Neither shall the children of wickedness afflict them any more, as before time. 2 Samuel 7:10. Now Yahweh gets even more direct. He doesn't say, I'll give Israel a vibe. He says, I will appoint a place. I will plant them. They will dwell, and move no more. That's not poetry for temporary comfort. That is national restoration with stability. For dummies, when Yahweh plants a people, he's talking about roots, land, order, economy, worship, language, judges, boundaries, and protection. And the punchline is this: neither shall the children of wickedness afflict them any more. Israel's story has been centuries of affliction, pressure, captivity, and being pushed around. Yahweh says there is an end to that cycle, not because the wicked suddenly become nice, but because Yahweh establishes a system where wickedness no longer gets permission to bully his people. For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land. And the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. Isaiah 14:1. This verse tells you the order of the kingdom in one shot. Mercy on Jacob, choosing Israel, setting them in their land, and then strangers joining in. Notice the sequence. Israel is restored first. Then strangers attach themselves to Israel's restored order. For dummies, when the world collapses, people look for shelter. When Yahweh restores Israel, Israel becomes a shelter, because that's where the sanctuary is. That's where the law goes forth. That's where righteous judgment lives. The strangers shall be joined with them does not mean strangers replace Israel. It means strangers survive by attaching to Israel's covenant government. And it says, they cleave to the house of Jacob. That language is strong. It's not casual visiting. It's sticking close because life is found near the order Yahweh established. And the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids, and they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. Isaiah 14:2. This is the verse people get emotional about, so let's be adult and read it carefully. The prophecy says, roles reverse. Those who crushed Israel will no longer be in charge, and Israel will no longer be the one constantly dragged around. For dummies, Yahweh is describing a world where the power structure flips and stays flipped. It also describes strangers and former oppressors being placed into service under Israel's government. The point isn't random cruelty. The point is the end of lawless domination. If you build a world by exploiting Israel, then the righteous kingdom removes your ability to exploit and places you under the authority you once despised. That's what rule over their oppressors means. The cycle ends, and Israel is no longer under the boot. Yahweh doesn't restore Israel just for Israel to remain weak. He restores Israel into government. And it shall come to pass in the day that the Lord shall give thee rest from thy sorrow, and from thy fear, and from the hard bondage wherein thou wast made to serve. Isaiah 14:3. Here's the heart of it. Yahweh calls it rest. Rest from sorrow, rest from fear, rest from hard bondage. For dummies, the kingdom isn't just about Israel winning. It's about Israel finally breathing. No more living on survival mode. No more generational trauma on repeat. No more waking up to the same oppression wearing a new outfit. Yahweh says he will give rest from the kind of captivity that drains the mind and body. That's why this prophecy is not small. It's not church talk. It's national relief. It's a system where the righteous can live without being hunted by wickedness. There remaineth therefore a rest to the people of Yahweh. Hebrews 4:9. This line is short, but it's heavy. It says there is still a remaining rest. Meaning, rest isn't a myth. Rest isn't just after you die. Rest is a promise that still exists, still reserved, still waiting to be entered. For dummies, Yahweh does not rescue his people just to keep them in endless chaos. He promises a rest that is deeper than a day off. It's covenant stability, security under righteous rule. And when you combine this with Isaiah and Samuel and Ezekiel, you see the full picture. The rest comes with a restored nation, a planted people, a sanctuary in the midst, and a kingdom where wickedness stops being the manager of the earth. Put these four passages together, and you get the blueprint. First, Yahweh sanctifies Israel. He sets them apart in a way the nations can't deny, because his sanctuary is in their midst forever. Second, he appoints Israel a place and plants them so they move no more. Third, the nations and strangers join themselves to Israel's restored order because safety and structure live there. Fourth, the old power arrangement flips. Those who once oppressed lose control, and Israel no longer lives under constant affliction. And over it all hangs one promise. There remains a rest to the people of Yahweh, rest from sorrow, fear, and hard bondage. Now here's the for dummies warning inside the comfort. If rest is promised, then rebellion becomes even more foolish. A person who refuses order is not refusing religion. They're refusing the path to peace. Because peace isn't built on wishes. It's built on law, judgment, clean worship, and a government that enforces righteousness. That's why EZ 37:28 anchors everything in the sanctuary. The sanctuary represents Yahweh's presence and his standards. It means the kingdom is not anything goes. It means the center of the world is holiness, not entertainment. And when holiness is the center, wicked customs don't run the calendar, wicked appetites don't run the streets, and wicked rulers don't run the courts. So the takeaway is simple, scribe. Israel's future is not disappearance, it's position. Israel's end is not endless captivity, it's planting. Israel's identity is not negotiable, it's sanctified. And Israel's promise is not just survival, it's rest. The nations will know it when they see the sanctuary established. The wicked will know it when affliction ends. The strangers will know it when mercy has an order. Cleave to the house of Jacob. Learn righteousness. Submit to the government Yahweh establishes. And stop fighting the structure that brings peace. Welcome to Israelites Doctrine for Dummies, where we break down the truth of the Bible so simple, even a child can understand it. This class is not about religion, church traditions, or feel-good sermons. It's about the truth that was always meant for one people, the Israelites, the lost sheep of the house of Israel. We do this because of what God himself said in Hosea 4:6. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee. Our people are scattered, confused, and destroyed because we don't know who we are or what the Bible is really about. This series is here to fix that.